Many of you know that we volunteer at Books Between Kids on a pretty regular basis, but we've never actually invited them to come speak to us. So we're very excited to have them here today. Very excited to have Katie Morgan. She has worked in Houston ISD as an elementary teacher, reading specialist, and dyslexia therapist. Right now she spends her days with her twin 6-year-olds, but remains passionate about literacy and development. And she's been with Books Between Kids since its conception. So please help me give a warm welcome to Katie Morgan.
Thank you. Good morning. I am thrilled to be here today and excited to tell you all more about Books Between Kids. If you have not volunteered with us before, I hope I can convince you to come to our warehouse for your April 6th volunteer day. Is it April 6th? Yes. I love your value over here that says human hands solve human problems. We believe that too at Books Between Kids, so I'm happy to be here. My name is Katie Morgan. I've been involved with the organization since it began 6.5 years ago. And when we first started, we had no paid employees. Now we have 1 full-time staff member and 2 part-time staff members. But at the beginning, our volunteers and our board members did all of the work. And my first position with the organization was serving as volunteer coordinator. So I communicated with the volunteer groups and served at the warehouse a lot of Saturdays, and that's when I came to know Houston Oasis. You all were one of our first volunteer groups and have remained one of our most consistent, and we're very grateful for all of your service. Yes. You have a wonderful reputation with us. We always say at Books Between Kids that one of our greatest assets is our returning volunteers because they know the routine, they are effective and efficient and accurate book sorters. So we love it when groups continue to return, and you have served in that way for us. Okay, so a little bit about Books Between Kids. I hope I can tell you all some things that you don't know if you have volunteered with us before, but our mission is very simple and straightforward. Our mission is to build home libraries for children in need in the Houston area. Our vision is to eradicate book deserts in Houston and to ensure that every child in Houston is a book owner. The idea for the organization came to be, okay, thanks. Perfect. Okay. The idea came to be 2 local women, Amy Barnes and Sandra Alhorn, our founders. Both had children in Houston ISD, and they attended a State of the Schools address, which is given by the superintendent each spring. And that year, the superintendent was speaking about some of the challenges that the district faced. And one thing he mentioned was a well-documented occurrence that teachers refer to as summer slide or summer learning loss. Oftentimes, children leave for the summer vacation in May, and when they return to school to start the new school year, they've regressed in their academic skills. This can be challenging for teachers because they often feel like they have to spend the first weeks or even months of the school year trying to catch their students up to where they were when they left months ago. But the broader concern is that the summer slide can contribute to a more pronounced achievement gap between low-income children and their middle-income peers. Oftentimes, children in middle-income families go home for the summer to homes where there is a presence of reading materials. They may visit the public library with their families. They have access to that. And they may be enrolled in summer programs with an educational swing to them. So, unfortunately, their lower-income peers are often cut off from educational resources over the summer, particularly books. They lose access to their school libraries and their classroom libraries, and many of these children live in homes with very few, if any, books present. So Amy and Sandra, our founders, decided that they'd like to do something to ensure that children had reading material over the summer. And they went back to their children's elementary schools and organized a book drive. And then they partnered with some lower income schools in Houston ISD, and they delivered those books to them with the request that they be sent home so that the children would have reading material over the summer and that those books be kept in the children's homes. that first effort went well, and they got back together to discuss ways to broaden their reach through more book drives and reaching more students. And in November of 2012, they launched Books Between Kids as a nonprofit organization. That first school year, we delivered 15,000 books to children throughout Houston. So that was the start. Okay, so other than the statistics of the summer slide, why do we feel like books in the home are important and worthy of our mission? Well, there's a lot of research talking about the importance of early literacy skills. We know that children who aren't proficient readers by the end of third grade are 4 times more likely to leave school without a diploma than proficient readers. And this number increases for children in poverty to more than 6 times the rate for proficient readers. That's why we really focus our efforts on pre-kindergarten through 5th grade, because that really is the critical time of learning to read. We've also found research that talks specifically about the importance of books in the home. In a book titled The Literacy Crisis, False Claims and Real Solutions, the author reports that the biggest predictor of academic success, more than a student's race or income or parents' education level, is the presence of books in the home. So all of these statistics and show credence to our mission of building home libraries. But the reality is that a lot of children grow up in homes without books. There's a researcher at NYU named Susan Newman who did a research study to determine the number of books in homes. And she found that in a middle-income neighborhood, you typically can find about 13 books age-appropriate books per child in the home. But when her researchers went to the lower-income neighborhoods, they found approximately 1 book per 300 children. So we know that this is an issue, and we're working to help out. We also, other than just improving children's academics, we at Books Between Kids are readers ourselves, and we want to pass the love of reading on to children. I was just speaking to a woman here that works with children that are in homes with domestic violence, and she talked about just the healing nature of books. So other than, increasing a child's academics, we want to give books because we know that there are lots of other important reasons for book ownership. We also know that the need in Houston is great. The Texas Education Agency reports that in Harris County, approximately 575,000 children are qualified as economically disadvantaged. And in Houston ISD, that makes up about 75% of the total student population. So the need in Houston is great. We're reaching as many children as we can at this point, and we are always wanting to expand our services. So how do we get the books to the children? Well, our primary method of distribution is through what we call book celebrations. Schools can apply to be a part of our program. They send in an application, and when we receive their applications, we're looking for several factors. First of all, we look at the percentage of children that are economically disadvantaged on the campus. And typically, the schools that we serve are at 85% or higher. We also look for some sort of evidence that the school is committed to literacy and might have some other literacy initiatives on their campus, because we know that the books make the greatest impact when they are delivered with excitement and enthusiasm, and that the staff believes in literacy and is working to support that on the campus. We are also committed, anytime we've served a school in the past, we continue to go back to that school year after year as long as they'll have us. We don't want to be an organization that comes and brings books to children one year and then they don't hear from us again. If our goal is to fill homes with books, we continue to go back and serve those schools year after year so that the children get 6 books one year and their siblings do, and the next year they get 6 more books, and you can see how that really starts to impact the literacy landscape of their home. One thing that's neat is we serve almost all of the early childhood centers in Houston. So those are the programs where they're 3- and 4-year-old children, and they feed into the elementary schools that we have as distribution points also. So now that we have been doing this for 6 years, we have some children that started with us at 3 years old and received books then, and they've continued to receive books. So we believe that this is really making an impact. You can see some photos up here of our book celebrations. What we do is we deliver the books to the campus, and the school selects 2 staff members to kind of put on, it's very similar to a book fair without the cash registers. So it's a very celebratory environment. The kids come in and they shop for their books, and they each get to select 6 books to keep and take home. Because all of the books are gently used, we have a huge assortment of titles and topics for the children to choose from, and everybody is always able to find something that's of interest to them. Sometimes you would be surprised at what piques their interest, so it's fun to attend a celebration and see that. We really believe in the power of self-selection. We know that as adult readers ourselves, we're more apt to read something that we've chosen on our own that's spoken to us. So rather than just giving each child 6 books, we are very passionate about making sure that they choose those books themselves. So that's a key component of our program. Since 2012, we have delivered 1,300,000 books in total to 40,000 children each school year in 33 zip codes across Houston. For this current school year, we've selected 66 programs, or 66 schools to be distribution points of our books, and we'll be serving 40,000 children again with about 300,000 books. Traditionally, we've only distributed books in Houston ISD, mostly because they've been a wonderful partner to us and have provided transportation for the books. But we're looking at ways to extend our reach. We know that Houston ISD is not the only area of need in town. So this year we're testing out going to 5 schools in Humble ISD also. And next week we're delivering some books to a middle school in A-Leaf. So we're continuing to expand our services. Okay, where do the 1,300,000 books come from? Most of them are donated through local book drives. We have lots of children's schools and organizations and local businesses that collect books for us and drop them off at our warehouse. Last year we had 72 local book drives in our name. We collect any kind of book from what we call the board toddler books. Those are those indestructible cardboard books. Those are distributed to our pre-K programs, all the way through chapter books for our 5th grade students, and everything in between. Picture books, nonfiction, beginning readers. We have no books that go to waste. We do get some books donated that are middle school or young adult novels. Those go to middle school programs. And the adult books are taken by the Rotary. They have a program where they put libraries in other countries, and so they take any books that are adult novels. We also have a national partner called Better World Books. They are an online bookseller, and they have a social mission of donating 1 book for each book that they sell. We reached out to them to find out what they did with all of these books, and they said, we'll send you an 18-wheeler full of books. And now they send us 2 18-wheelers a year, which has been wonderful. We are so thankful for that partnership and wouldn't be able to serve the number of students that we do without Better World Books. But we were excited last year when, for the first time, our local donations outnumbered the Better World Books donations. At the heart of our program is children helping children. So we try to increase the local donations as much as possible. And we also find that those local donations are typically more relevant and newer titles and are often in better condition. So we work hard to continue to increase our local donations. We talk about, when you think of donating food in Houston, you automatically think of the food bank, and we want to be what people think of when they have children's books sitting on their shelves and are looking for a place to donate. So please help us spread the word in that regard. Our warehouse, if you have not been, is a 9,000 square foot warehouse on Harwin Drive. It is a busy, busy place on Saturdays. We're unique in that there aren't a lot of places for young children to volunteer in Houston. I have 6-year-old twins, and it's difficult to find a place to serve as a family that allows young children to volunteer. And we are very family friendly. Any children over the age of 5 are welcome to come to our warehouse with their parents, and we will find some sort of meaningful way for them to contribute. We have a lot of students that come volunteer with us, and we have some leadership opportunities for the teenagers to join what we call our book brigade, which is kind of the core group of volunteers. Last year we had 1,500 registered volunteers in our warehouse. That gave us a total of 5,000 volunteer hours. So we certainly wouldn't be able to do what we do without our volunteers. At the warehouse, some of the volunteer jobs are collecting, taking in the donations and counting them, sorting the books. We want to make sure that when we deliver the books to the schools, it is not in any way a burden upon the schools. We try to make it as easy as possible for them to set up their book celebrations. So the books are boxed by kind of reading level or topic, and that way the teachers are able to set them out and direct the children to a book that might be just right for them. We are continuing to look for ways to extend our reach. When Hurricane Harvey hit a few years ago, it was a time for us to kind of reflect on what we do and how we can serve our community in new ways. A lot of phone calls came in after the flooding because a lot of people needed children's books. The need was great in Houston, and we are known as a place that has lots and lots of books. So people were calling us for donations, and we tried to think of ways to respond to that while remaining true to our mission of making sure that the books go into homes. And one way that we did that was the schools that were flooded, they were being relocated to temporary campuses, and the teachers had no supplies, no resources. And they were needing to get started right away so that the kids could get back to their normal school routines. So we took books that we had, and we put a Books Between Kids sticker on the spine of them all, and we filled the teachers' classroom libraries with books so that they could get started and there could be some normalcy to the school routine. And we asked that once the district was able to refurbish their classrooms or additional donations came in, that those books with the Books Between Kids stickers would be sent home with the children so that they could keep them in their home. So that Harvey experience allowed us to kind of start thinking about other ways to distribute books other than our traditional method of the book celebration. And now we have something called Community Partners Bookshelves, and other nonprofit organizations that serve children and families are able to request books from us. And we've partnered with DePelchin Children's Center, Kids Meals, Making It Better, lots of different nonprofits, and they can receive books from us, and then they distribute them at family events or parent education courses. We just ask, and staying true to our mission, that the children get the selection and that those books go into the homes of the children. We receive lots of thank you notes from principals that tell us about the impact that the books have made on their community, and also lots of thank you notes from children. If you visit our warehouse, you'll see a lot of those along the walls. There are really three main ways that you can help us, and you all are wonderful, wonderful volunteers. So you're doing one of those already by giving time in our warehouse. If you are a frequent volunteer, I also encourage you to at some point try to attend a book celebration. Sometimes we need help at those celebrations as well. And if you've spent a lot of time in the warehouse, it's really rewarding to go to a celebration and see what impact you're making. We also always are in the need of books. We can never have enough. So if you have books laying around your house that you would be able to donate, we will take those. Or if you would like to organize a book drive, that's wonderful. And of course, we're always accepting monetary donations. We run a pretty tight ship, and our operational costs are minimal because all of the books are donated. But we do have warehouse rent to pay for, and all of the packing supplies, the boxes and the tape and the transportation of the books. We apply for a lot of grants and are fortunate to receive some, but a lot of grants don't want to cover operational expenses. So that's when the support from the community and individual donors really comes in handy. I'm going to, this is just a 2-minute video, but I can stand up here and talk to you about what we do, but I think it's also wonderful to see the faces of the children and the parents and the teachers that we support. And also you'll be able to see a few photos from the book celebrations, which is really the heart of our program and what keeps us as volunteers and board members going throughout the year.
Books Between Kids, we've been doing that for the past 3 years, and it is a program that brings amazing books to our students.
They get to choose what to read, and they get to read what they love.
The fact that they're able to choose which books they want is pretty amazing, and then they get to take them home forever. They're their books.
So when Angel came home, he was like, Mom, I have these books. And of course, they were books that he likes, so something about trains, something about dinosaurs.
So if they pick it on their own, they might have more interest in it.
Unfortunately, a lot of our kids are lower income and they don't have many resources or pretty much anything at home.
They have to read at least 20 minutes every day, and kids come to me and say, Ms. Martinez, I don't have any books at home.
When they come in at the beginning of the year, they've maybe never even seen a book.
It's sad if children don't have books at home. They don't get the experience of imagination and thinking of things in their head while a parent is reading to them. And I think that that's what books bring to a household.
Especially for people that sometimes their resources are limited, it's a great way to have children read and help families bond together, help children advance in their reading. It's a great program.
I picked it, a pony one. It was called Maya the Pony, and I picked it one piggy book.
I would read them to her or read them to him. Now they read them by themselves. They know the words, so they'll read them to me now.
I don't really need a bath. I took one last month.
My older one will read to my little one will read to my older one.
Maybe it is a throwing toy. I love throwing toys.
So I think reading at home helps them at school.
How I like rain.
Their reading levels, they went up one level, and that made me happy.
Comprehension has been improving, and so that makes me happy because I know that what we're doing is working with the students.
Life is so short. We'll waste it on important things, like taking a bath.
We have books just lying around our house, and you don't realize how important and special that would be if just donating that book to a child to have forever completely can change their life.
I'm really, really, really happy.
And I'm open to taking any questions that you might have about the program.
Okay, it's just me moderating today, so I'll try to get to both sides of the room. But let's start with Sarah.
Just a simple question. Where do you bring the books that you want to donate?
Sure. You can drop them at our warehouse on Harwin Drive. If that is not convenient to you, if you go to our website, booksbetweenkids.org, we have a few other drop-off points throughout Houston, so hopefully there would be a location that might be convenient to you.
Perfect. Thank you. I've got some.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm a former bilingual teacher, A-Leaf ISD. So I'm asking, is there a focus and a push for ESL books or books in Spanish?
Yes, I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Actually, that was something that I meant to say. The books that are in most need are the upper grade chapter books, but most especially the Spanish books. So many children in our program are native Spanish speakers, and the teachers often request bilingual or Spanish titles, and we get very few of those donated. So if you have access to those or in any way could help us figure out a way to access those, we're very open to that.
I'm a bit of a super nerd, but I may be putting the cart before the horse, but I'm looking to join the 501st, at least by this year. And I want to know about volunteering for the 501st, the Stormtroopers and the Star Wars cosplayers, to come to the book celebrations in order to, I don't know, promote interactions.
Sure, I'm sure that would bring some excitement. I would recommend that you reach out to our program director, Jamie Grissom, and she might be interested in that. Yes, we're always looking for ways to bring.
I don't mean to take the second one, but Comicapalooza is coming up, and what do you think about having a booth at Comicapalooza to promote comic books and just reading all around?
I'd love to speak to you more about that. We're open to ideas, so
all right.
Thank you for bringing new ideas to us.
I know that you said that your focus was on pre-K to 5th grade, but I'm a middle school teacher, and I was wondering if you still are doing these kind of events at the middle school level or if you could accept books at that level.
We do get middle school books donated, and as I said, no books go to waste, so we've looked for schools to partner with for distribution. Right now we're focused on pre-kindergarten through 5th grade. We've tried some middle school book celebrations, and we need to tweak that a little bit. We've got the K through 5 down, so primarily right now we're looking. We don't get a whole lot of books donated, but for middle school, and when we do, we find middle schools to partner with that distribute the books in a similar fashion.
Hi. Do you have information on your website about the specific schools where you have the drives? I'm curious about the school in my new neighborhood and whether they have a program like this.
Yes, we do. We have a list of our schools. I'm not sure if we've updated it. We just finished the application and acceptance process for this current school year, but you can certainly find the list of schools that have participated in the past.
How many categories do you sort books into? And are the categories validated later on, because sometimes there might be some uncertainty in sorting?
Yes, this is a completely volunteer-run organization, so we know that our sorting process isn't perfect. Our goal is just to make it easier for the schools to distribute the books. So last time I visited the warehouse, they had changed the process once again, and I think it's been streamlined and a little bit easier for the volunteers to sort them. We probably have 6 or 7 categories, and there are mistakes made, and the schools appreciate our efforts, even with the mistakes.
Any more questions?
Do you ever get specific feedback from the schools that they can tell it's making a difference? I mean, I would assume, of course, having something that you want to read helps. I was just curious if you have any.
We're always
feedback.
wanting to do our own research studies, but there's so many factors that contribute to a child's reading that it's hard to pinpoint ourselves as one of the reasons why a child is being more successful or enjoying reading more. But we certainly have a lot of anecdotal data from the schools that say the children enjoy it. They ask, when is our book celebration again? A lot of teachers assign, I know my own children are supposed to read at home for homework for 15 minutes a night. And when you have no books in your home, it's impossible to practice your reading skills. So the teachers are very grateful and say that the children now have access to reading material that they didn't. So we don't have official, we've surveyed children to ask, how many books did you have at home before Books Between Kids came, and how many books do you have now? We try to do a little informational gathering, but unfortunately we can't, say that because of us, children are being more successful. But we like to think that's the case.
Any more questions? All right.
I've seen these dumpster-like donations places. Are you associated with them? And if not, do you know who they are?
You might be referring to the green bins that are in parking lots. That's actually Better World Books, who is the organization or the company that donates the 2 18-wheelers to us. So we noticed the green bins too, and we called them and said, what do you do with all these books? And that's when we were overwhelmed by an 18-wheeler of books. And then another.